Right, hello, welcome back. And we're on episode 6. This is a Milner Field History and Discovery podcast. And today I've got wonderful Chrissie Pepper with me.
Yes. Hello.
And we're doing this, you might notice it's slightly lighter than usual. We're doing this slightly earlier. And it's good to be in daylight as well, I suppose. Right, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's get on with it. So, first of all, just an announcement to make, given given certain developments recently, the decision was taken a while back by all the members of the group, that any fragments of items that were found at Milner Field or surrounding area would be given to, curated to a local or a community project, museum, or some type of exhibition in the near future. So they've been kept in storage, obviously our guardianship. At the moment, it doesn't seem as if there is anybody willing to make an exhibition or curate the things themselves or keep them for lack of space or various other reasons. So what the group took the decision to do was obviously the logical thing and the moral thing to do, which is to keep everything together until such a time we can have a big steel box time capsule, which will be buried at Milner Field. Obviously not somewhere where we're going to kind of give the location easy to people, but it will be in a discreet place where all of the fragments, anything that we found that is any historical value, will be there preserved. And obviously we'll save anybody else in future all the hard work and effort that we've made in order to find it all. So this goes against certain accusations that were made of us not only being amateur sleuths and thieves and vagabonds and rascals and scallywags and every other kind of derogatory term under the sun. The original aim was always to preserve this for everybody else to see in future. So there we go. So if you still have any worries and you still, mulling over the situation and, raising concern, you don't need to raise any concern. I think that's, what do you reckon, Chrissie? Is that?
I think it's quite exciting, actually, because I think the whole idea behind it really, was basically to stop these things from being destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, 99.9% of the things that we found have been readily available, just laying around.
Yes, under the ivy.
And we've seen in the past, before we started our little journey with the house and the grounds, things were being lobbed about by kids and youths and broken. And there were things like intact chimney pots once upon a time, partially intact, should I say. And they're fragments now, because people have just destroyed them. So it was always our intention to make sure that, we gathered things that we've just found. Obviously there's been a couple of items when we were digging that we found, but nothing any different to what we'd found anywhere else, to be honest with you.
No.
But it was just to stop them from being lost, destroyed, vandalized, and to keep them safe. But I think it's quite an exciting thing to do.
Definitely.
To keep them all in one place together.
Yeah.
We can include possibly some documentation, just saying when they were found, where they were found,
of course, yes.
And why we're putting them back.
Yeah, they'll be properly.
And one day in the future, perhaps somebody else will find them. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I was always very torn between removing things from a site anyway. Obviously it was for the greater good.
Yeah,
for the greater good.
We were kind of jubilantly optimistic that somebody would take it all for.
We were, but
in reality, it's not always that easy, is it?
No, it's not, and especially in the times that we're living in now, with all this, there's just so much red tape involved. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, of course.
It's not the 70s now, so
we basically live in a technocracy, don't we, at the moment?
Yeah.
you know, they're just, you know, like
Yeah.
scientists and faceless people just decide our
Yeah.
future. It's very little to do with politicians. It's just red tape rules, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody somewhere writes these ridiculous rules, and
Yeah,
you
true.
know, they've probably been around for donkeys anyway. But yeah, it just, you know, it makes me happy in a way, knowing that they'll be back home where they belong, where
Yeah,
they started alive, but they will be protected, so to speak.
yeah, and it'll all be
Obviously,
together. Yeah,
well, we're not going to die. We're not going to put out pictures of where we're placing these things. They're going to be in a big metal box. They'll be individually wrapped, which they are anyway.
mm-hmm.
And like I say, there'll be some documentation placed in the box with them. You know, and hopefully they'll be preserved for many, many years to come.
Yeah, that's right. And then when we're all gone, we'll leave it in our
Yeah.
will. There it is. Someone can dig it up.
Might even put a photo of each other in there as well. Be like, hi.
Yeah. Hello.
We're long gone, but hi.
Yeah, hello from beyond the grave. So, yeah, I think as well, this is obviously just to restate this because there was a certain derogatory article, kind of it loosely aimed at us in the Yorkshire Post, and just poo-poos, you know, that real whole sentiment that, you know, we just have malintent towards and disregard for the law. Now, the law doesn't, you know, law states that, well, if you want to permanently deprive somebody of something that's laying around on the ground that's taken, even though it is private property, then that is technically theft. There's never been any intentions to permanently take anything away, keep it or sell it on eBay, anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just been to stop, like you said, the kids nicking it or souvenir hunters nicking it, or, you know, whoever comes through there and just whatever they do with it, you know, throw it.
Let's face it. I mean, come on, David. I've seen a couple of pictures in the last couple of days. You know which ones I'm talking about. We're back in the 60s.
Oh yeah.
And you know, there were these beautiful ornate pieces that were just laying there in the rubble, and you know, gone, long gone.
Yeah, and as my friends who live around Bingley all their lives in Gilstead area and Elwick area said all the time is, yeah, everybody in Gilstead and Elwick has a piece of Milner Field in the house or the garden somewhere. Yeah, exactly. Everybody said everybody's got a bit of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's very little weight in the accusations, but still, it's important that we do this publicly, draw a line under it, and then we can move on as well.
Yeah.
So, having said that, in terms of things that you could just find there lying around on the ground, what happened to me last Saturday? We were doing the gardening. We were clipping back ivy and pulling back ivy from around the great big pieces of stone off the archway.
Yes.
And I got possibly too overexcited and didn't look at what I found. I just pulled out from about under a foot thick of ivy and mud quite a large piece of iron, which I just immediately thought was like, oh, part of the gatepost or something.
I know, you came running over.
Look at this. And he's going, it's a bloody pickaxe head, you. Oh, I was like, oh yeah, it is. And then I thought my brain clicked in and was like, well, if that's probably been there since the 60s, that the handle had rotted completely away apart from in the head.
Yeah, it's gone.
Completely gone. Either that or it had broken at the time and it just got, oh, someone.
Yeah, probably.
And they forgot to pick it up. But yeah, that must have been there since the 50s or 60s.
I would say so. I would say so.
Heavily rusted. But it's a big one. It's like a 12-pound one or something. It's not like the modern ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to clean it up and file all the rust off and do all that and put a new handle in it. Not because it's never going to be used for that purpose again. But yeah, like that. Anyone could have found that walking the dog. It's been for 60 years. Yeah. Not buried.
And was probably used to smash up the house as well.
Exactly. And as well, 60 odd years. It's just
laying there.
That's such a long time. It's a generation or more, isn't it? And and no digging, you know, as I say, we've not dug for weeks.
There is plenty. There is, I mean, everywhere. You just have to walk around. I mean, it's just everywhere. It is a demolition site at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of the history, if you just look at the site as plain as day, it's just a demolition site.
Demolition site, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to really call it ruins, because it's a yeah, in a way, because it's not really been buried by time and, you know, kind of hundreds of thousands of years.
No, it was
It's been a
manually destroyed. Yeah.
manually done. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, what else did you get from doing your spot of gardening last Saturday around
Well,
the
just the satisfaction, really, because I mean, it becomes so. I mean, obviously, it's been like that for such a long time. It's just so heavily overgrown.
Yeah.
That one thing I did notice was some of the trees were struggling because the ivy, especially over the courtyard side towards the remaining arch, some of the trees were being literally dragged to the ground by the ivy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dead trees, branches, and it was so funny, actually, because it just started raining when I was under a particular sort of tree. I'd gone in thinking it was like some sort of bush, and I'm clipping away at all this ivy that was growing upwards, and then I got rid of a dead branch, and then the tree all around me just sprang up. It was like, thank you, back into the sky.
Yeah,
and it was a really nice feeling. It was almost like it was taking flight. It was weird.
Liberated.
No, it was weird. It was almost like it was saying thank you for rescuing it. But yeah, I went around and just started clipping back, you know, some of the hawthorns that were growing, had been growing for a long time. And it's nice, actually, to be able to do that, because not only is it helping the nature, and it's helping to tidy the place up, but it's a sense of I don't really know, you know, just giving nature a helping hand by.
Yeah, or you know, as an experienced gardener as well as we both are, you know, what to do and when to interfere, not to interfere.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, if you see a bush or a tree like that's been taken over by a weed or by ivy that's gone rampant, just to free it up so it can grow up again is a very satisfying thing.
It is satisfying, and it's not, you know, again, with when I say gardening, it's more like careful pruning, you know, not running around just chopping randomly anything.
No.
It's a sense of satisfaction, actually, just to give the place a helping hand. It's, you know, it's starting to look a little bit like Pan's Labyrinth in there. So now it was. So now it's starting to, you know, it feels a little bit more open, and, you know, life can just, you know, magically hop along. And
I mean, it has, imagine like Guillermo del Toro, if he found that place, he'd probably make something about, he'd probably, you know, be able to turn it into something, you know, kind of fantastical, because it is like it's that same kind of mystery and mystique about the places. Things are overgrown for decades, and you don't know what's under there, you don't know what's here. Which leads us back onto what you were showing me just before we started, Chrissie, about the way on the floor plan you located that recessed entrance, which I think you said you'd identified as the luggage entrance.
Apparently so. It was
corner.
It was basically, as you walked in through the rear entrance, the archway, walk straight up to the porchway. It was located, I think, just left of the porchway was a window, which would have been to the cloakroom. And then slightly more left was the tower, the bell tower, which incidentally had a weird sort of shaped sort of little, I don't know what it was, like a little cover halfway up at the bell tower, which incidentally housed a separate bell, which possibly could have been used clanging for certain arrivals, perhaps. I don't know.
Sorry, that was Mr. McAllister. Just he might make an entrance.
That'd be nice.
I know. It's been a smile on my face as well. An even bigger one.
But so literally just to the left of the tower, the house took a distinct What do we call it again?
Yeah, it's like a gradient down. It doesn't.
Like an alcove.
It steps back, doesn't it, before the house goes down? Yeah.
Yes, it does. So this alcove, I hadn't even realised existed. Whenever I've looked at the floor plan, I've just seen the floor, the actual shape of the house just straight. So yeah, there was an alcove just left of the tower. It wasn't terribly wide, and it certainly wasn't very deep.
No.
It did have windows in for the whatever was behind it. I forget now what something domestic probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, the left-hand side of the alcove is a doorway, and you can actually see it on the royal visit picture.
Yes. Yeah.
Small doorway, and it had steps up to the doorway.
Right.
And obviously, this all came about because I was trying to locate the coal chute that we'd seen in the basement photos.
So we're going to be dealing with something similar to what we found at the northwest corner gentleman's as well, but
as long as it still exists, though, because the bulldozer did take out quite a portion.
I was going to say there may only be like the base of the steps left under the soil, or something like that. You might not find very much because
it depends really. I mean, until I get there in the morning and sort of assess it, because we've got the porch footprint, the left side of the porch foundations, I can sort of gauge to where, and how wide it was.
And there's bound to be some foundations underneath or something other than that. I don't know if there's a cellar space underneath. I still think there is a network of cellar spaces under the
definitely there will be
of the house.
Yeah, there will be, and there'll be a lot more. There'll be a lot more open spaces underneath all that rubble, although they're not accessible, and we don't want them to be honest with you.
No.
They undoubtedly they'll just be a nesting hole for nature, basically.
Absolutely.
I should imagine there'd be quite warm, snug, dry places down there, actually.
Yeah, nice for spiders, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. European cave spiders, lovely.
Yes. Yeah, and I think to uncover that, I will find a pendulum, bring a pendulum tomorrow, a makeshift one. But he's just waited to kind of successfully kind of use that in the past to find things like the wells and the streams and so on. So I think it's definitely got to be looked at, and then just see where you can locate it, and then
that's what I'm going to do in the morning, regardless of the weather. I'm just going to pull back some ivy and see what I can see, basically.
Yeah,
let's just make any outlines.
Right, let's just have a quick peek at the weather while we're just talking about that, because I know the Met Office, it'll say today it's going to be like this, and then tomorrow it'll be completely different.
I know.
Well, at the moment it's saying 8 to 10 degrees Celsius and cloudy, so that probably just means rain all day. What I do is I check it usually about 6 a.m. in the morning, and then it's usually pretty 78% accurate. It's usually changed to like snow and lightning or something.
Snow and lightning.
Although we are supposed to be getting a massive cold front that's one's coming over from like North America, Greenland.
We are in winter. Are we technically in winter now?
Is
it still autumn?
Yeah, almost there, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't know I think it's October was the end of I don't know, Samhain, and then just about we're getting there anyway. It's getting colder.
Roll on spring.
Yeah, blooming heck. On spring for those of us with aches and pain.
I miss my summer. I miss my summer mornings at Milner Field. I really do. It's so beautiful in summer.
It is. It's just wonderful in summer. So and I'm sure a few of our listeners at home and people watching at home will have similar problems. Have been similar age range, 50s, and older. They'll be thinking this time of year is not so great, but still. Feel free if you want to come on a Saturday morning. We're there between usually about 8 and 1, 2, aren't we? You could have a quick tour around, guided tour around.
I mean, if Andy's not coming tomorrow, then if anyone comes for a tour, then I guess I'll pack up my floor plan, and I haven't got because I don't have a printer. I don't have but I do have my phone, and I do generally have quite a lot of pictures of the house on my
Yeah,
phone. So,
yeah,
that will have to suffice.
yeah. My print was just bust the other day as well, that other week. I was like, oh no, I need that. So I don't know what's wrong with it. It's like, so,
Yeah.
but that reminds me, the wonderful Stevie turned up last. Steve Forrest turned up, and he said
Oh,
he's
he did. Yes.
yeah, he's like a breath of fresh air. He's such a good lad. He said he's going to do is some A4 boards, information boards. He's cut some so we can actually stick pictures and information on there,
Yeah.
laminate it, and can kind of maybe have something to show around the site.
Yeah,
So
that would be fantastic,
yeah,
actually.
weatherproof ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's good to see Steve. I say we didn't really we didn't need spade. We're not digging. We
No.
simply found places under the ivy, and the one where the big top column of the door must have been
Oh,
the
yeah.
main door. I was like, it was just angled down. I was like, oh, that's the top of a door. And it looks
Yeah. Very, very carved. Beautiful.
really, really huge piece of stone. And
Yeah.
I remember brushing it off, the mud off it, thinking, well, if that's the top bit, there's got to be two longer uh, parts of the
They would have been they would have been put together in sections, though, so they would have just
maybe.
been.
I don't
I
know.
think they would have done.
Yeah,
When you're dealing with the top of a doorway, it needs to be structurally,
yeah,
so it needs to be
yeah.
one
It's the
piece.
same, yeah. Unless you get an
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I've not seen anywhere around there any parts of the side, and maybe just
No.
like you say, when the bulldozer probably clumped everything there in one
Yeah.
pile.
It does seem to be. It does look like literally what we think it is. It's
Yeah,
just off of where there's a clearing through the middle of the house.
that's right.
And it's like the bulldozer just piled it all up and then just dumped it there.
Moved it over, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually, to me, from pictures that I can make out just of the front door, the ante-room door,
Mhm.
that piece of masonry does look like the top of the doorway. Because although the porch,
Does.
because the ante-room did have a porch, that was obviously an arch. But if
Yeah,
you look really closely at these photographs, because there was a little square window above,
yeah, that's right.
and you can just see the outline of the top of the door.
Yeah,
So that does, to me, does look like the top of the door.
yeah. And my brain works in ways where my brain's immediate question is: imagine all the people that walk through under that door,
Ah,
royalty and like
yeah,
nobles and at night, be all kinds of people. I mean, we
yeah.
we don't even know the types of people that they used to have. There were regularly parties for all manner of people. Obviously,
Mm,
they were connected with Westminster, they were connected with royalty, they were connected with South
mm,
America, they were connected with North America, probably other colonies as well, not
yeah.
to mention other business people and I presume celebrities of the day.
Mm,
Your mind boggles if you could have like an imaginary list with everybody that ever visited. And I'm sure maybe there is a guest book or a visitor's book
somewhere,
somewhere
possibly.
that they had back in Salt's day, and you'd think who on earth would have been on that list.
I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. It just,
Mm,
like you say, it would have been the celebrities of the day and
yeah,
royalty, etc. It must have, that house must have seen some wild days.
yeah, and they say for many years until around when Salt Jr. died, it was literally the seat of all like social interaction, like society. Like it was the place to be in
Yeah,
definitely the whole of Yorkshire, but main part of north of England as well.
yeah,
So I guess they would have had some bloody good parties.
yeah.
uh, right. So yeah. So that was. I mean, it was just literally everything piled up there. There's just a few fragments of tile, which were quite nice, the oak leaf ones. A couple of chunks of marble, and
Yeah.
then there's the archway, isn't it? Again, the archway with the we've uncovered from the ivy everything that's been grown over it over the years, and those are clearly visible now.
Mhm.
Chrissie did a wonderful pruning job, just like dancing around with the shears, like an hour or two later, it's like, wow, she's done the whole lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Because when people walk in now through the courtyard, like when I went up on Sunday with Louise, there was a couple walking down, a family walking down.
Yeah.
And they just asked us, "Oh, is this that right of way through here?" And yeah, and we dubbed that, walked back behind them, and then they were just looking over the courtyard, and they're like, "Oh, you can see something over there." I said, "Yeah, you're going the right way for the house."
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Left them to
Yeah.
it. So yeah, people be able to see that more clearly now, whereas before it just looked like, you know, kind of bumps under the ivy and things under the ivy.
Yeah.
So and what kind of plans have you got in your mind for tomorrow? Because it's tomorrow now, isn't it? It's Friday. Today,
Friday.
Saturday's nearly here.
I think, like I said earlier, I think just to try and trace back to see if I can find any sign of that alcoved area, which obviously it always proves quite difficult because, you know, the time of year and like was, you know, weather dependent. And I suppose just to carry on with a little bit more tidying up, really. I mean, I piled loads of rubbish. Obviously, that ivy's just hidden loads of horrible old plastic bottles and
Yeah, it's a
beer
weird.
cans.
It's a very weird phenomenon, that, isn't it? Because where in the past when we've been digging and now in ivy and stuff, and even under like layers and layers of what you can only imagine is years and decades of soil formation.
Yeah.
Every so often under like great layers of that, you'll find like a modern bottle or something.
I
Like
know.
Canada.
I know.
What?
But I suppose really, well, just it goes back to the trees, doesn't it? I mean, years and years ago, like going back to the 60s, even even the 70s, but all those trees were infants.
Yes, it would have been, yeah, because
so they wouldn't have been creating
really
an awful lot of you know, an awful lot of soil via the leaves. Now that they're fully fledged adults, most of them, obviously there must be about, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, maybe even more, leaf fall every autumn. So, you know, and that's gone on for a few decades. So soil production's rampant up there. It really is.
It is as well. And we just had Mr. Alan Taylor pop in on the chat to say hello, and just say sorry he can't be here today, but he's got to work at the moment. So I don't know if Mr. McAllister's going to join us. Maybe. We'll see. We'll keep going until he pops up.
Still here tonight, like that.
Oh, yeah. What time is it? Yeah. Right. So yeah, the soil production, everything else, it's just been.
It's crazy, that soil production. Honestly, that's taught me something, actually.
Yeah. The like biomechanics of soil production, how it all comes together, how the insects and everything else and the damp break things down over time, and rots, it becomes. Yeah, it's just all that goodness from the plant matter and the dead plant matter just goes back into mineral form, nitrate form into the soil. Yeah. And it's like nature's just the most amazing thing when it just regenerates itself like that.
I'd love to know, you know, how many inches of soil has been created since the house became derelict.
Yeah, I mean that section we pulled off near the south facing door, that was pretty thick. It was like thicker than carpet thick.
Yeah,
that was just like net. You could see all the roots and things in it. All that was all flattened out.
Yeah, over
the years, and it was just like, yeah, it was like double the thickness of a decent quality carpet. It was like, wow, that's 66.
It just goes to show, doesn't it? It really does. But yeah, it's really cool around there because of just the level of life that is now there.
Yeah, my word.
You know, it's not really human life apart from the odd visitor and us knocking around, but you know, it's just a haven for wildlife. It really is.
It is, and often when I walked up there, usually like 2 or 3 times a week, I've seen, as the seasons change, different birds as well. I've seen jays there, which are fairly rare, and I'm not sure if they're protected or not. But the best point is just around the peak of spring to summertime when you hear woodpeckers.
Yes,
that's just
it is. It's fantastic. Yeah, it is. It's actually a very good place for bird watching. It
Yeah,
really
it is.
is.
It is. There's all kinds of stuff. The owls are there at night. As we know. But yeah, I remember a bit last springtime, and it was just off the carriage driveway, and it was like, oh, woodpecker, and they start and they stop, and that. Mr. McAllister's going to join us. Hello, hello. And yeah, I was there with my phone trying to record this woodpecker. This woman's like, go back with the dog, going, "What are you doing there? What are you doing?" It's just like, woodpeckers. What?
Weirdo in the woods.
What's a woodpecker? Never mind. You remember Woody Woodpecker, don't you, Mr. McAllister?
The woodpecker, yeah.
Yeah. We're just talking birds. Hello.
As you do on a Friday.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Milner Field
The
birds.
winged variety.
Yeah. Milner Field birds. It's good to see you. Are you taking a bit of time?
I thought I'd make an appearance. It's Thanksgiving, so all quiet on the work front.
Ah.
Oh, good Lord, yeah, it is. Yeah. And only finally this year, we do have quite a few American viewers, to offer full congratulations to them for finally becoming disassociated entirely with the British Empire by getting off the LIBOR rate. So there's something to give thanks for this year, exceptionally, because they can now set all their own interest rates over there. They don't have to rely on the British Crown or banking system. Anyway, sorry, that killed the mood. So we've just been talking about last Saturday, Andy, and the pruning and the weeding and everything else as well, and digging up, getting those archway pieces out of the ivy as well. That was good fun, wasn't it?
It was a good day, wasn't it? It was a bit wet, but yeah, it was good fun.
It did get
fun. Nice to sort of get away from the main house and do something different.
Yes.
Yeah. And I presume you had a good night on the Saturday for the party?
Party was good.
Can you remember much of it?
we did it all again Wednesday night, just the five of us, family.
Fantastic.
Yeah, all good.
Fantastic. So I think I was saying to Chrissie earlier, Mrs. Pepper there. We thought that was relevant. We're probably going to try and locate what remaining foundations of where we think the steps may have been up into this luggage room, which was possibly near where the coal chute was. So I don't know. I'm going to bring a pendulum and try and douse for it, get the right area, which has worked many times. But yeah, I think because the bulldozer have gone through that part of the house, there may not be as much left of that as there is where the gentleman's entrance steps and corridor was.
Well, I've got a feeling that the bulldozer took out the side. What was it that was at the side of the porch, the left side of the porch, which was the cloakroom and the Queen's bathroom, incidentally. That's where royalty washed their hands. And the tower. I don't think it touched the alcove. I think it took out that side of the alcove, because I think it took out the foundations for the clock tower. But I think slightly more left, I think we will possibly be able to uncover more steps up to the doorway, which was entitled the luggage entrance. So we shall have to see what's without being there, until tomorrow. I can't really assess. I'm going to take lots of pictures of that point, so I know where I'm sort of looking at. And also I'll flick through the book tonight and see if I can get any more shots for Andrew's time machine project, because he did that lovely one of the courtyard with the Queen's Guard or the King's Guard. That visited, obviously, and it's like a then and now, and that turned out beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was just, I was showing Chris the other night, and I was saying, he said, just give me some pictures to use on this, and they said, use that one. But I was saying to him that where that is now, where the fallen tree is now, I said that's like a deer shelter now.
Yeah.
Look, the contrast in 140 years since that second royal visit. So look at the difference between it. It's like, wow, how nature's reclaimed it. And the fallen trees are what they are. There's no point moving them, because they are a bit of a haven for wildlife. What else did we need to mention? We needed to talk about the south facing side of the house as well, where we started the other week, and also the front wall in terms of ivy clearing. I forgot about that earlier, so I just reminded myself. So that's going to be sharpen the machete time, I think, isn't it?
Oh God, I have to sharpen that thing again. Honestly, it's like some old world kind of. I'm gonna give somebody else it to do because
I'll do it. I'll do
will
it.
you?
Yeah, because I've got to do. I was just saying before, Andy, I've got to do the pickaxe head. I've got to de-rust that because it's got great big globules of rust. I'll have to file that down and then polish
What
it.
do you call the stone then? Because that was my granddad. So look after it, won't you? It's a stone.
Whetstone. Yeah, I've actually got one here, so I could use
Oh,
that.
have you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just hand over the metalware to you then.
Yeah, I've got quite an expensive tool.
What are you using to get the main crud off in the first instance before you get to the grinding stage?
I'm just gonna go easy with the file on it. On the pickaxe head, I'm just gonna go easy with the file on it because I started metallurgy work when I was 15 and went to do an apprenticeship. So I'll just go easy with the file. I don't think I need to actually do any de-rusting. It's with iron, it almost like it bubbles up because it becomes porous. So I just need to go easy on it. I'll take it right back because it is iron. I'll take it right back. So I don't actually need to go into it, and then I'll probably I'll find a means to polish it. I might just leave it. But
God, you guys, honestly, you've got one polishing wood and the other one polishing iron.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. You've met, into your wood or into your metal. So
I've still got that little metal piece that's actually quite heavy, which once upon a time I thought was a shell, because they obviously use shells at some point. But whether it is a shell or whether it's just a bit of heavy piping, I don't know. It's only a small piece, but it's heavy for its size, and I'm just scared of taking it back too far and sort of getting rid of any markings that might be on it. But
just get a magnet on it.
Yeah.
That's how you know. A lot of the iron, cast iron back then, a lot of it would have the appearance of stone, or it'd be like stone because it was quite crudely cast back then. And it would be very porous as well. So, well, that's definitely a whole afternoon's work to do just to do that pickaxe head.
What about that massive pipe that we saw that you'd seen before?
Yeah,
that was huge.
Yeah, there's a section of pipe sticking up out of the side of, I think not the drawing room, the dining room or something.
No, it's not the dining room. It's on the side of it's when you're walking through that clearing bit in the middle of the house.
Not the drawing room. What's next to the drawing room?
It would have been no, it's not the drawing room. It's between the hallway and the ante room.
Yeah, I forget which rooms.
The porch is behind you.
Yeah.
So you're literally between the ante room and the main hall. So, but it had a big valve on top, like that you would.
Yes, it looks like a water pipe or a steam pipe.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
But I remember uncovering that from under the ivy a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's the first time I'd seen it last week, and then he fell over it.
Yeah, no, I just remember kind of seeing something poking through, and I just pulled the ivy off, and it's like, oh, there's a pipe in there.
Yeah.
Little tunnel entrance down into the midst of the rubble for all the little insects and things to go in as well.
Yeah.
So we think we're going to have a go at some point at clearing the wall.
Well, I did start that not last week, a week before. I did start clipping back, just purely because if we can get that under control, I mean, it's never going to stop growing, and we wouldn't want it to anyway. It's got its own sort of place in nature. But just to stop it from re-encroaching back onto the the terrace.
Yeah.
To look after those roses that are original to the house. Imagine original rose bushes dating to the 1800s.
I know.
And they're still there. And now that we cleared the majority of the ivy from, all the ivy from around them, they've got new shoots on. I mean, how fantastic.
Yeah, they simply need that access to light so they can grow and they can get free.
And they get it as well. I was very unsure about how much light they would get with all the tree cover, but they really do. They get chinks.
That's right, and they'll get more in winter as all the leaves fall back, so that's
Yeah.
continue to grow even quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, we cordon them off, haven't we? You started that.
Yeah, some bricks.
Bricks, just around so people know that they're there, and even the
Don't
kids
tread on them.
they won't go and trample on them. No, but
No.
what is it? There's about half a dozen, I think.
Yeah, possibly even more.
Possibly more.
I mean, the far side of the glass house terrace doorway, we've not even started clearing that yet.
No.
And we know there were a lot over there as well. So
I would imagine it'd take a couple of years to flower.
Yeah.
From here, but just imagine that when you spot the first one, I'd be like,
oh, like having a child. I'd be like, oh,
it's back from 1869, 1870, whenever it was landscaped. Because I do believe that Marnock started landscaping well before they built the house, started building the house.
wow.
Like we're being told about the trees, you know, there's like the copse and the other two trees. I think they were planted some years, 2-3 years before.
Wow.
On the wider scale, but I don't think he obviously finished the garden until after the house was finished.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So from what I've been told by a reliable source that we know, Chrissie. So no names mentioned. Okay. What else? My poor old brain's gone now. What else did I
Mine as well, because I just ramble on. I can talk for England.
I mean, going back to that last week and the ivy and the little mounds that we were digging out and things, and you mentioned the picture we superimposed of the soldiers.
Yeah.
We actually found a bullet last week.
Oh, yes.
And
yes, Carl dated it, didn't he?
Yeah. Now, Carl said originally that the name on the bullet, the name of the bullet maker went back to the middle 1800s, I think, didn't it?
It did.
But the date of that particular make, which I think it was a 410 bullet, it was a hunting bullet from the 1940s. So
really old. I mean, what are the odds that you would find a bullet? I mean, it's so small.
Now the romantic part of me thinks it came from one of those soldiers, because they were obviously armed soldiers, weren't they, in the courtyard?
Yeah.
The romantic part of me thinks it's come out of one of their pockets or something, but it's probably after that, isn't it? So 1940s, are we thinking somebody's gone for a walk shooting foxes or deer?
Possibly.
Yeah. Do we know the years which the MOD used it for? Was always that?
I just thought it was pre-war. So
pre-war, was it? Okay.
Pre-war. So
was it the run up to the war? Or?
They were billeted there, weren't they? The Home Guard practiced there, and I think they were billeted there in 38, 39.
Okay.
Or whenever the Home Guard were founded.
Yeah.
So whether they had a presence there throughout the war, I don't know. But
afterwards,
there were several little bits found. You know, a little piece of marble last week. There was the bullet. There was an almost perfect mound of glass from a fallen broken window, which fascinated me. But that just looked as though it's sat there and never been touched for 70 years.
I don't think it had been. It did look to me like literally there was so much of it that it looked like that's where a window frame landed.
And it's another one of those where a root had wrapped itself around, and you know, it's you're not having that. You're not taking that away. So
no, I mean, you know, going back to being, you know, accused of various vandalisms or whatever, it makes me think of what true vandals are at that site, and in my mind, it's the trees. Unfortunately, as much as they are wonderful and we love them, because who doesn't love trees? You know, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for trees. No. But the trees are actually destroying what's left of this great house. They really are. The roots now are so established and so big. We've seen what they're doing to the foundations.
Well, that obviously that will clearly only get worse with time. Those beech trees which are on top of the corner of the house where we had dug out the steps and corridor, those will still take probably a few decades to cause any real structural bad damage, but they're already getting there towards that. So
I mean, look at the tree that's grown through the remains of the what is it? The bay window.
Yeah. exactly.
It's got legs. I mean, they're thicker than mine.
Oh, yeah, those trees will, as you can see from around the site, those trees will push anything aside to get through nature.
Yeah.
It's so slowly and gradually go through any, push rock and stone brick apart.
Yeah.
But
so my greatest fear may not have even really come into it, of somebody coming in and clearing the site. I think the trees are doing it for them.
Yeah, and it's a shame that that those people have been making a lot of hot air about the preservation of the site, really don't have any solutions or any answers, or don't even actually care. All they just seem to care about is that they're not getting any lottery funding for to do something about it anyway. But I don't even know if they're even bothered about that. And they've totally failed to grasp the whole ethics of a community-based project. And that's why people, just 99.9% of people, are just so happy with what we're doing, because they know it's for the community, not for profit or gain or like some hidden agenda. I think.
No, exactly. And also that the gentleman, I forget his name, who got in touch via our group regarding the sort of a place for people to be able to come and sit and just reflect. And
John, it was John, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what a wonderful idea. And I can't think of anything better for that particular plot of land, to be honest with you. It's such a beautiful setting and so peaceful. It makes such a wonderful garden for, even a small section of it, maybe not the whole lot, but
oh yeah, there's plenty of space there to do that. I mean, look at I don't know if you know Andy Randhurst Wood, where the locks are.
Yeah.
They've made a beautiful little garden there. It's just not far from here or far from Milner Field. They made a beautiful kind of like triangular shaped garden, which is a nature garden with like seats, that type of thing, in a very small space. But it's like, obviously there's a little pond there. There's all different types of trees, and they've just made it really beautiful. And they've seen it grow over the last 2-3 years. That type of thing, it wouldn't upset anybody, because I know we've had this discussion again and again and again. But in my eyes, there's absolutely nothing a developer could do with that land ever, because of all the wildlife types of trees, birds, insects. There's absolutely nothing they'd ever be able to do with it. So at some point, the adults are going to have to get in the room with the council and the owners and have an actual conversation about what they want to do, rather than just, putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. At some point, what do you reckon, Andy? Somebody's got to, in the community's got to stand up, haven't they?
They have, I think that's the only way of preserving it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like before, when they tried to build a business park up there, and the community stood up and said no.
Yeah.
It's different, obviously, different case, but I think again, we're not specifically all of us in the local community, but we're still our community. We're still standing up and going, well, yes, this needs to be done.
Yeah.
We'll start it. We'll try and show you how to do it. But
I mean, just it's somewhere that you can go. As soon as you enter, say, the Primrose Lane side, as soon as you walk past that gatehouse, you're just into another world. I mean, what could be better just to escape from that the hurried, busily, noisy world beyond into a sanctuary that this land is now. It's just so. It could be so much more. You don't have to build anything there. You don't have to. All you have to do is just make some safe pathways, which you can do by hand.
That's right.
Install some benches. Do some pruning. And that Bob's your uncle. People could just go in there like a park.
Yeah, exactly.
And just sit and just reflect, and it really should be. It should be that, really. I can't see it being anything else.
Yes. It's hopefully someday that dream will come to light and come true. That's all we can do is kind of gently try to push it along for now and get we seem to have the backing of majority of the community, and people that even people that have never been there before, they seem to be good with the idea. So it'd be interesting to keep in touch with John and see what he's if he can add anything to the cause as well. That'd be good, because he seems like a very tough man and a survivor as well. Given given the odds that he's been against.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, yeah, just to remind people as well, while I get my social media head on, how and where they can find us, wherever you're listening. I think most people are listening on Spotify. People are watching on YouTube. More people are watching on BitChute by far. Some on Odyssey, but generally podcasts and so on. You can find us on all platforms now. We've got it out everywhere. So it's on iTunes, Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor, Castbox, Breaker, blah 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 blah. Go on, these list loads of them. Like I always forget half of them. but then they franchise it out elsewhere. So you've got all these different Americans and people in Singapore and all kind of other places listening and regularly.
Wow.
I was like, well, whatever, it's great. So the social links are on Twitter, it's Milner Field HD, History and Discovery. On Instagram, it's Milner Field History and Discovery Podcast. On Facebook, it's the Milner Field History and Discovery Group and the Milner Field page. And what have I forgotten? I mean, that's probably it.
Doesn't matter. You've covered it.
No. There will be some form of blog and website along soon, but I can't really say any more about that at the moment.
Yeah.
And we hope to have some exciting projects on the way. That's all kind of in the pipeline, and it will just give a big boost for us for what we're doing as well, hopefully. Right, I think that's it for social media links. I think yeah, that's it. I can't think of any more.
No.
Yeah, I just try and keep it as simple as possible.
I know.
Right, so any other business, anything else that you want to mention before we
No, not really. I mean, just looking forward to getting down there tomorrow and seeing yourself, and hopefully it'll be dry. And
yeah.
Mr. McAllister, will you be able to make it tomorrow, or are you going to be?
I'll be there. I'm going to try get there early because similar to last week, I've got things on in the afternoon. But yeah, we've got. I think there was mentioned that a couple of people want showing around, so I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Very good.
Good stuff, yeah. So, yeah, the current weather forecast, as we know, is totally unreliable, but it says like 8 to 10 degrees in Blackburn. Cloudy, but I guess it could change by morning, so I'll check it about 6 a.m. But definitely get the winter haircut out, got my hat ready, got the waterproofs, all that, got the gloves out.
I've got my shorts and t-shirt ready.
Yes, well, you know, those of you that don't feel the cold, you can do that, you know. Young stud like you. So,
misunderstood.
Right. There you go, misunderstood. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. Right, so it only remains for me to thank you all for listening and watching again. We look forward to seeing you next time, when obviously we'll have some more good news and some more discoveries. I want to give a big thanks to all of our supporters, all our viewers and listeners out there that are, and anybody that finds this just by accident, you know, keep watching. All right, so we'll say ta-ta for now.
Goodbye.
Bye now.
See you next time.